Hi V, hi everyone. I am currently in New Zealand, which is far, far, far away. I went to see The Red Turtle. The Red Turtle is a 2016 film by Michael Dudok de Wit, and it's the latest Studio Ghibli movie. It was very interesting because it was an animated film, but it didn't have any dialogue in it. I love the innovation of it. What happens is a man winds up in the middle of the sea during a storm. It comes upon an island where he is stranded, and he decides to try and create a raft with the materials he finds there and try to get out. When he first lands on the island, he of course ends up at the beach, and the first thing he does is go towards the green, and the green turns out to be the bamboo forest. And from the bamboo forest, he walks through it. He needs to climb up a hill and comes into the valley where you have the high grass and the fresh water. And from there he goes onto the rocks, and well, there's a hill as well, but that doesn't have any vegetation on it. And that's where he stands and screams out into the void because he is lonely and frustrated. I won't tell you more because I don't want to ruin the movie for anyone. The soundtrack, the non-diegetic soundtrack, is what drives the emotional parts of the movie. In normal movies, dialogue and facial expressions are what makes us as an audience invested in characters, but if you have silent characters, animated characters that are not exaggerating facial expressions or bodily expressions, that means that you need sound and soundtrack to put emotion into a movie. Without the soundtrack, this movie just would not have worked. Of course not. It's the same as just going to a silent movie. The animation itself was very interesting because, especially the use of colors, so you have the actual real colors during the day, and then during the night it's all grayscale, which I found a very good way of differentiating between two different worlds. The style of animation itself was a mix between 3D animation and 2D animation. Understandably, because water is incredibly difficult to make relatively realistically if you don't use 3D. Usually I would go on to talk about the characters, but I feel that if I talk about the characters I might give slightly too much away. Although I can say, of course, there is a red turtle in it. So one of the sort of characters is these tiny crabs. They're the things that give the movie its lighter tone at points, by being very curious and looking at what the male character is doing, the main character is doing. Yeah, it has a certain environmental message, but it's not as overtly environmentalist as Spirited Away was. It deals with the water and the sea and the storms. There is a tsunami in it, which of course for a lot of people currently is reminiscent of what happened on Christmas Day in, like, I think it's 10 or 11 years ago now, in Indonesia. I feel like that works very well within the context that we are currently living in, with the fact that there was actually such a big tsunami that wreaked havoc on a large group of people. Without the real life version of the tsunami, it would not have worked as well. But even then, it is a very powerful thing, and that is once again where the soundtrack really kicks in to give you the emotional push that you otherwise probably wouldn't have gotten. Overall, I really liked the movie. I am thinking of, once I have enough money and enough space, of building up a library of sort of French animation, or at least European animation movies. This one, I'm not sure if you could consider it European or not, because, well, it's Studio Ghibli, which is Japanese, but all the others were like Cineplus and Canal Plus, of course, were main sponsors of it, because when does Canal Plus not have something to do with a European movie? I really think you would have loved it. It's just, yeah, it's a very good movie. And I feel it especially works if you see it in a cinema. Please do try and get a better seat than I did, because my seat was just not the greatest, but that's what happens when you order it late. Yeah, that was one of those last minute decisions. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to hearing what you watched recently. See ya. Bye.